Hello, guys. Blessings. Blessed be. This is High Priestess Jamila. How are you guys? Happy new moon. Right now, currently, it is February the 9th of 2024. And we are at a dark moon. Yes. Normally at the beginning of these podcasts, I will play a song, but I decided to skip that this time, okay? And just get straight into the conversation about psychic vampires. Yeah. And how to stop them from consuming you. Honestly, I'm going to start out by saying this is that they are probably going to take a very long time to stop trying to consume you. Psychic vampirism has absolutely nothing to do with witchcraft. It has absolutely nothing to do with being a healer. It has nothing to do with that. Psychic vampirism is what it is. It is about feeding off of and consuming another. I have noticed that psychic vampires really, really love to work within the spiritual community, in particular, the witchy community. There are so many surefire ways of protecting your energy. There are surefire and very fast ways of taking your energy back, as well as defense. Now, if you start being defensive with a psychic vampire, then this is when you're probably going to get a backlash. Like if you are cursing them and things of that nature. Okay. Now, witchcraft, and this is the reason why they don't like witches, is because witchcraft, again, like I stated previously, witches are not psychic vampires. That's not what we do. Okay. Um, and I but as a witch, I understand when someone has made an action towards you that may have been mentally, physically, spiritually draining. And I understand taking back your power. That's very different from being a psychic vampire. Okay. Now, one of my ancestors is Lilith, and one of my ancestors is the Lamia. Both of those deities are associated with vampires. However, a vampire, according to mythology, is not the same as a psychic vampire. It's a totally different thing. Vampires drink human blood. That's what they do. It's a part of their diet, basically. Psychic vampires, very, very different. Psychic vampirism, I predict that in the near future, it is going to be listed in the DSM and considered a mental illness. However, it is an active sort of power that came out of need. Psychic vampires can often fit uh they can come from various backgrounds, but typically one of the most common is a uh is an adult who has childhood trauma. Now, does that mean that all of y'all that have childhood trauma are psychic vampires? No. Um, in fact, there are some of my clients who have went through childhood trauma, and I help to heal them from that. And typically, clients who have had a lot of childhood trauma, they do require a little bit more work. They do. But it's not that big of a deal. Okay. It's just a little extra time that goes a long way for them because they are in need of a lot. But a psychic vampire is going to be someone who has an intention, who is deliberately taking energy, knowing how to tap into a person's energy and pulling that energy towards them. Um, Now, I've seen it in living color. And the good news is that it takes them a long time to even take your energy. Before they can take your energy and your life force, they're taking things around you that may be in your aura, things that you need around you. However, once they start to take your life force, this is when the bells and the whistles and and this is when the SOS happens, because this is when you probably, especially if you're psychic, you can feel that energy, you can feel the pull coming from you. Now, do psychic vampires actually consume people? They have, and I believe that particularly they have to be in a very large group, a very large group. Is that typical? Not really. In fact, psychic vampirism is something that needs to be abolished. It does nothing for the psychic vampire. It takes them hours and hours and hours to literally really accomplish not much. It's not worth it. Okay. But what it does is it is sort of separating you from the powers around you. Maybe perhaps your ancestors can get consumed. your like your certain energies that are around you that you may need, and you may feel a little bit more tired than usual, and that's just what they do. Okay. um the problem with psychic vampirism is that it can cause stagnation. um and believe it or not, Pluto as well as Mars is almost like the medicine ball to deal with psychic vampirism. um Not just for the victim of psychic vampires, but also for psychic vampires themselves. Um, and so those two planets, and then of course the other ones, but Pluto and Mars. Mars is really just raw energy. It is. It's raw energy. And Pluto is like, and then also Mars is the planet of action. But then Pluto is also a planet of action, okay, and fast change and quick change, okay. So is Saturn, okay. Um, those three planets teach us a lot about, defense and recovery from psychic vampirism. And so not really knowing how to deal with it can keep you down for years. If you are someone that was up and then you had a lot of psychic vampires, or either like a few psychic vampires after you, you'll notice that things start to kind of slow down. You don't feel like you're progressing. You feel like you're losing money. You feel like you're losing sleep. Your body and your spirit is going to let you know what is going on, but what to do about it. So my planetary alchemy witch bottles are going to be phenomenal in that, and can really, really help um, to abolish that energy out of your life. The thing of it is with psychic vampires is that they're very codependent. I believe that psychic vampirism is sort of like a sister, or either like the evolution of narcissism. And narcissistic people, they to be a narcissist doesn't mean that you have to necessarily go through childhood trauma. But again, going back to that, some kind of trauma. I believe that when it comes to narcissistic people, a part of the problem is that they weren't necessarily parented. Either the parent didn't do enough, or they possibly did too much to overindulge the child to the point. And it's nothing wrong with being spoiled. It's nothing wrong with, having everything that you need. But when you don't parent and speak to your child and teach them right from wrong and teach them morals, then that can result in that. Or a psychic vampire or a narcissist can be created out of abuse and trauma. And so in that case, they are very needy, very needy. Okay. How does this relate to witches and shamans and even warlocks and healers and empaths? Well, because you have a strong connection to source. They don't really understand that when you say connection with source. They don't really understand that. All they know is what they need. And since psychic vampirism is actually being taught to people, and they do it through meditation, some of them light candles while they're meditating, but the main aspect of it would have to be meditation. Either a frequency can be used, or either just the sounds of nature can be used while they focus on the victim's energy that they literally want to consume. Now, is this a nice thing to do? No, it's not. It's not very nice to do that. In fact, it's unnecessary. The reason why is because when I say connection to source, I'm talking about the sun, the moon, the universe, nature, um, all of those things empower us. So it doesn't make any sense for somebody to take from someone else. And then this is when it's just like the mentality of a thief, okay? And so, how to protect yourself from them. There's various ways. Um, there is a lot of different things in witchcraft to protect your energy. There's a lot of things that you can do to retrieve your energy. Um, and so that's just what you have to do. And you have to protect your energy so that your energy can't be stolen or taken from you. I have seen psychic vampires in action, and it is a deliberate and intent, intentional intent to home in on you and pretty much suck your energy and life force from you. They don't have to be sitting in the same room as you. They can be at a distance as long as they know how to do it. And some people know how to do it better than others. And this is something that they do all the time. They will spend hours and hours and hours sometimes in meditation trying to take everything from you, within you, and around you. Now, there is a way to stop the feeding, and there is a way to stop them from being able to take your energy. A few of the workings that I've been offering, actually, that I would recommend would be an Alchemy Pluto bottle, witch bottle, an Alchemy Saturnian Mars witch bottle, and then also the Love Protection bottle that I offered actually will assist in that. Okay. Now, psychic vampires will go through great lengths. They will. They will contact you, they will call you, they will text you, and you'll notice that the energy will just be off all of a sudden because they have to somehow contact you. That's how you can tell that it's different from witchcraft. When you're practicing the craft, a witch does not have to necessarily contact a target depending on what they're targeting them for. For example, if I wanted to put a hex on someone, I don't have to make contact with them at all. If I wanted to curse someone, I don't have to make contact with them at all. If I want to do any working for someone, okay, when I do work for clients, I don't necessarily have to talk to you to do work for you, okay? So, and psychic vampirism is very, very different because in order for them to even tap into you, they have to be talking about you, talking to you, somehow contacting you. I know that the trolls that um, make a lot of contact with me, a lot of them are psychic vampires. In fact, they're not trolls at all, they're psychic vampires. And what they will do is if they don't see me in social media or if they don't, uh, if they feel that they need something, then they will try to call. Um, and this is one of the reasons why I don't accept solicitations because psychic vampirism actually has gotten worse since the pandemic. The past 5 years, it's gotten worse. Um, I wouldn't suggest relying upon psychic vampirism. Um, I started seriously practicing my craft in 2013, and I've manifested a lot, and I've never had to attach myself to anybody to get that energy, to get the power of the witches. That's not because I'm already a witch. And then I'm also heavily connected to source. So I don't have to do that. It's not witchcraft. It's not. Okay. Yeah, there are psychic vampire spells that can be done. But mainly when witches deal with psychic vampires, we're mainly taking back or doing a power or energy retrieval, which is very different. This is something, your energy, your essence, your aura is something that belongs to you. And the psychic vampire is trying to appropriate that. They're trying to take that from you so that they can use it. Um, and so that within itself. So there are several workings. In fact, psychic vampires are not as in as they think that they are, because everybody, and I mean everybody, has figured out a way to protect their energy from a psychic vampire. The fact that they're still trying to do it and call it magic and witchcraft is kind of ridiculous to me. But people have to learn on their own. I can promise you that the sun would be a better source of energy. The moon, whether or not it's dark, waxing, or waning, would be a better source of energy. Jupiter would be a better source of energy. The ocean would be a better source of energy. So you see what I'm saying with that? So, it is a baneful way of getting back at someone if you want to take vengeance. But I personally feel like this. I feel like in my practice, I like to do things as clean as possible. So if I felt like somebody had taken something from me, I'm going to take it back. But to go and target people and try to intentionally take what they have, it's just not within my personality. For example, if people see that you have something that they may want, then they'll just start focusing on it. And then they'll just almost start to try to pull that energy directly from you instead of going, like, for example, if a person wanted, um, let me give an example, long nails, and they saw that you had very long nails and they were natural or whatever it is that you have that they want. What they'll do is they'll just kind of sit and they do go into this altered state, very similar to witchcraft. Like when we are meditating or doing ritual, we'll go into altered states to do that. It's very different because a psychic vampire is focused on a person that needs all of their energy and their life force, and they're just sort of trying to pull that towards them. Again, they're going to catch some resistance. They're always going to catch some resistance. And it's very, very difficult. It's very, very hard to even do that because I've seen them struggling with it. They struggle with it a lot. And, I think that they probably should, and it is in their best interest to stop. I think that they feel as though they're in a safety zone because they feel like, oh, well, I'm not practicing witchcraft or something, which no, you're not. But that doesn't mean that what you're doing is morally or ethically right. So, what they will do is they will pull the person's energy towards them, and what will end up happening is that the energy will be in flight. Depending on the type of protection that a person has, it'll be almost like a turtle. The problem is that when that action is being taken against you, okay, your energy is being pulled away from you instead of you attracting things to you, instead of you being able to pull what you need into you. Um, so that's the issue with that. And again, when I discovered, energy harvesting, which is the same thing, psychic vampirism, when I discovered that it was happening to me, this was 5 years ago. Um, and so I've always knew how to deal with it, but I've came up with some better better ways of stopping it. Unfortunately, a psychic vampire, when you stop them from feeding off of you, then they want vengeance. So, especially if they're in the spiritual community, or if they know something about witchcraft, they feel like if they can't feed off of you, then they're going to try to destroy you. It's almost like a Black Widow effect, but very different. And so there is defenses against it. Um, you don't have to necessarily sit around and meditate all day, every day. Because a lot of people that live normal lives don't even have time to sit around and meditate all day. Okay. But they got time. A lot of the times they do have time. Okay. It is very different from even doing spiritual work. As a witch, I do money workings for myself. When I do my money workings, my focus is on people finding me that need my help with real spiritual situations, including but not limited to psychic vampirism. So I'm not. It's very very different from psychic vampirism. It really is, because my intention is to be this beacon of light so that people can come to me and benefit from my expertises and my wisdom as a witch so that I can actually help them, so that they can achieve, so that they can obtain. None of those clients are taking that from me. I've actually heard people who don't know what they're talking about, who probably should not be doing spiritual work for people, um, saying, oh, clients take away from you. Well, as a witch, you should know how to stop that from happening if that's happening to you. Okay. In reality, if you are casting a healing spell for someone or a money spell, you should know the correct powers or elements to connect to so that you're not the one being, so it doesn't make any sense. So it's very very different, and it's very frustrating because there's a lot of them hanging around the spiritual community. Rarely are they taken seriously. And then also another thing, what I've seen them do and what was done to me is is accusing their target. So they will target a witch and say, oh no, you're doing this to me, and it's like, no, I'm not. um why would I do that when I'm connecting my work with the elements? I'm connecting my work with the source of energy. So it just doesn't make any sense. Okay. So you guys do have a place to go. Psychic vampires are very serious about what they're doing. In fact, they can get downright scary, run in packs. To some people, they can be very intimidating. To an experienced witch, they won't be. Okay. So, I'm highly encouraging you guys because, like I said, they like to use certain things that they feel may get you emotional, right? So, they're going to be on a feeding frenzy, especially during and around Valentine's Day. They are looking forward to Valentine's Day because they plan on feeding off of people that day. Uh, in particular, if you have the ability to love, or if you're in love, or if you are single, especially if you're single, because what they're going to do is they're going to try to connect with that emotion that a lot of you go through on Valentine's Day. In fact, that's why you're feeling emotional on Valentine's Day. And you may be feeling like crud. I personally have never went through that because on Valentine's Day, if I'm single, I buy myself flowers and chocolates and I eat ice cream and watch movies. Some of you guys are not in that place. Some of you guys really don't care, but it doesn't matter if you care. If they know enough about you, they're going to try to come for you. And so, and then especially this is happening in social media where people know of people, but they don't really have an emotional connection with that person. They don't really care about that person. So they don't care about what they do to people that they've never met. So, so if you guys need help with that, I am suggesting a couple of my um, planetary alchemy bottles in particular. And so, like I said, that would be Pluto, Saturn, Mars. Um, it can be either one of them, and then also Mercury. Okay. Uh, so either of those planets can help you um and assist you. And I mean, we're constantly using the energy of Mercury, but in particular, the love bottle that I did in particular. And it's not just for Valentine's Day. This is something that's going to last you for, should be about a year, is what I'm thinking with the preservative that I have in it. Okay. And so you guys are more than welcome to contact me. My cleanses are still on sale because, of course, cleanses are very important because sometimes a psychic vampire is using a spirit um of it could be a spirit that that kind of specializes in vampirism, or it can just be a random spirit that's doing their bidding. And so that spirit would have to be banished off of you and possibly trapped or either destroyed. Okay. um Lilith and Lamia, they don't have nothing to do with psychic vampirism. They're they're a vampire simply drinks blood. That is different from a psychic vampire. Okay. And I wanted to assure you guys of that. All right. So visit divineservicesapothecary.com and I'll be happy to help you with that. And if you are a psychic vampire, you probably need help in recovery so that you can not be codependent and connect with source, which will stop a lot of the struggle because people are going to protect their energy no matter what. So, if you've gotten in the habit of doing that, because what I heard is that it will create an insatiable appetite that can never be fulfilled, which is not good. Okay. I don't teach psychic vampirism in my practice. Okay. If I'm going to use astral travel and there is a target involved in astral travel, there are like a plethora of other things that we do, in spirit or during flight. It's not about, trying to feed off of someone. In fact, it's totally ridiculous and it just creates so much problems that's not worth it. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the Witches Broom channel, and happy new moon. I will see you guys later. Blessings. Bye.